Salutations, Utopians. Hopes all is well in your world. I've been meaning to get this video out about the second round, but I got blitzed by so much sports at the. First off, Terrion Arnold from the Lions, my beloved Lions, he's in the news for some crazy stuff. We might not have no secondary already. Death taxes in the Detroit Lions secondary being done, and then South Korea and South Africa are playing. Second half, Maseko hits a goal. It was such a shock to everyone that such an underdog matchup, 24th versus number 60th ranked in FIFA. The Fox scoreboard credited South Korea with the goal after Thapelo made it in the second half. And I'm tripping like, wait a minute, this guy's not Korean. My mind playing tricks on me because it's so late. I didn't know what if I was watching. You know what I mean? If I was, my eyes were telling me the truth, and it was a mistake. Everyone was shocked. What an upset. And then as I'm closing that out, regrouping. I'm just still listening to the post game talk. Shams gets on the screen at the last second, and he's saying the Timberwolves are interested in LaMelo Ball. And LaMelo Ball could be moving in the next 24 to 48 hours. I'm like, Giannis, Jalen is already traded. Jalen Brown is up in the air. Ja Morant could be on the move any day. And now LaMelo, this is crazy. But let's get to this draft because there's some very promising players who could join that company one day. Hey, we know Jokic, Manu Ginobili, Gilbert Arenas. Hell, I want to add Mitchell Robinson to one of the greatest second round picks of all time, too, by the way. This guy, to me, if it wasn't for injuries, obviously, I feel like he's the mitigating factor. People want to talk about, you know, Mike Brown, Tibbs, Julius Randle, or Cat. Mitchell Robinson finally being healthy. If only that guy, I'm gonna keep saying it, man. He would be up there with Ben Wallace, Bill Russell, Draymond, Dennis Rodman, all-time great defenders. So I want to add him to that list. But second round picks, you can net any kind of player that could just change the trajectory. And the second round immediately got interesting to me from the Grizzlies standpoint when they were on the clock, second pick in the second round. Richie Saunders ran with AJ DeBonsta. Watch him, very strong player. He's that 6'4", compact, strong kind of three-level scorer, explosive. I know he had a major knee injury or injury to his lower extremity, but with that massive front line, a guy like that who can go on three levels, he's just like Wells to me. You know what I mean? He could be just like Wells, who's another very solid second round contributor, previously holds the record. I don't know if it'll get broken this offseason, as the CBA every year gets more and more, but he currently holds the record for the highest paid second round pick all time. And he's had a nice career. He was a little injury riddled last year, but Saunders, and the Grizzlies love to set the market for second round picks. Saunders could be in that realm. He was overshadowed. Obviously, the number one pick, AJ DeBonsta, had the priority, but Saunders was that right hand man before he went down with injuries and was expected to have that kind of tournament run that would climb up the draft boards, maybe sneak into the first round, which is not far fetched at all. Considering where he got drafted, he was only a few slots away from the first. So kudos to the Grizzlies. I think that's going to be a promising opportunity. The next one was interesting to me was Brazil getting drafted by the Nuggets. He is a guy who I tell people all the time. I just noticed during this season watching Rob Dillingham, Calipari plays his players where they're going to play in the pros. But Brazil's nature, he's an extremely athletic five, but he's very light, very light. 7 foot, jumps out the gym, can run the floor with the best of them, led his conference in blocks. One of the best anticipation that you'll see when it comes to shot blockers in the nation, for that matter. But his nature is to camp out on that three-point line. He will dunk the ball. Him and Cenac, they both kind of battle that motor question, that physicality. Can they bang? But all the tools are there to be a very major contributor for many years to come in the NBA. The Nuggets getting him makes me question whether Peyton Watson really is going to be in the league. I mean, be with the Nuggets. He might, with Jokic extension, Braun's contract is now looking very difficult to process. He took a step back, missing so much time last year. He wasn't his usual explosive self. I don't know if this move was in commission of trying to brace themselves for the loss of Peyton Wallace, who's going to be looking obviously to cash in, um, despite not having a full, you know, tape to watch of his postseason. I think he was the missing piece for why the Nuggets couldn't have went further this last year. So it'll be interesting to watch. Um, Give me a second. Gotta pay my respect to Braden Smith from Purdue, officially all time broke Duke legend Bobby Hurley's assist record. He's going to the Bulls, um, and then he got traded to um, the Indiana Pacers, which leads me to wonder if Halliburton is going to need more time than we even realized. Obviously, the Pacers are not going to, even though technically their pick went to the Pacers with the new rules, with tanking and everything. I don't think they can afford to have another year of inactivity. They're going to try to put their best foot forward. Who better to go acquire than a Braden Smith as being the purest distributor that you can possibly find across the nation. Um, then scrolling down, Gillespie was another very interesting pick just from the standpoint. The Spurs had major turnover issues with respect to Castle, and some to a lesser degree Fox. Fox in some ways brought some stability, but he also had a turnover issue. So him from Tennessee, bucket getter, change of pace guy. He's been a point guard all his life. McLaughlin, I don't know what they'll do with him. He had a solid showing for one game against the Thunder, but didn't get on the court again. He was kind of an unsung hero in that series, but um, for whatever reason, he didn't get to see the light of day again on the court. But um, that's fine. Emmanuel Sharp going to the Kings. That's a Crowder type dude, 3-and-D guy, corner shooter. Was a major piece at Houston. Believe it or not, and ironically, wow, the Kings really like that Houston team. No, because Kingston Flemings went to Atlanta, so disregard that line. Sharp is going to Sacramento. They are always, every team could use a 3-and-D guy. Think, Channing Crowder. Sorry, not Channing Crowder, Jay Crowder. Think Jay Crowder. Great defense guy, 3D veteran player. Led Houston all time in three pointers made, I believe. Sharp is a solid pickup right there for the Kings. Bring some stability. Um, Obviously, we don't know. DeAndre Hunter suffered a really scary eye injury, uh, so no telling when he'll be back right away or not. But in the interim, especially since they lost, Keon Ellis in that trade deadline deal, having a guy like that who prides himself in defense was a great, solid pickup. Um, this guy Nickel from Vanderbilt, who ended up being uh, the second pick on the second round of what the Knicks were doing, the champion Knicks. I like him a lot. Just from the brief tape that I watched on him, he's a sharp who mixes it up. Think like a Ty Jerome, but this guy, he's physical. He plays. He tries on defense. Watch him in summer league. I can't wait to watch him in summer league. That's a guy I can't wait to see in summer league because that tape he immediately clicked to me. I see the potential right there, and he fights like DiVincenzo used to fight. He's a scrappy dude. He's not afraid to mix it up. I'm a huge fan of that pickup. Mark my word, that's a guy I can't wait to see. You know how I love to report on summer league. That's a guy I'm itching to watch now because I really enjoyed that tape. Jaden Bradley. Now, Jaden Bradley from Arizona. Braden Berries is the guy who the Bucks use with their own first at the 10 uh, as a cornerstone building piece. And then He also shared the court with Koa Pete, who ended up being the last pick in the first round, ended up in Phoenix. Um, but Jaden Bradley out of the big three, it reminds me of Morez Johnson, who went to 9 to the Bucks, in the standpoint that he's the least heralded, but in terms of immediate convertible talent, he gives me more. I see certain things in him, and I'm not saying the ceiling is higher than Braden Berry's. He just has his game just has a more immediate impact and direct path. Same thing with Morez. I feel like Morez is like Lux, like Yaxel. He's a tweener. It's going to take a little bit of an adjustment. He's not going to be bullying the way he did in college. So there'll be a little bit of reality shock, and then Mora is light but slow-footed. So it's like you got to pick his matchups wisely. I'm not trying to roll out Mara, for instance, against maybe a Jalen Duran, but against a Wemby is okay, um, until at least he gets a little more acclimated to the NBA. But there's going to be just some nights where it's like, I don't know if I want Mara on Sabonis, for instance. I don't know if I want Mara guarding Jalen Duran. I don't know if I want him against, uh, hell, even a Carl Anthony Towns for that matter. So it's kind of tricky, you know what I mean? But with Morez, he's a 6'9", 245. Think like a modern day Al Horford, ready to just get out there day one, block shots. He has a real position. Um, and he's just he's got a very low to the ground standard game. Jaden Bradley's the same way, very clutch, very smooth player, physical in nature, has some weight in his back pocket. These are the things that I like about him. Very instinctful player. I think that was a big time steal. And then he going to Toronto. You know what they do. They find him. Jacoby. They got Jamal Sheed. They find value in their picks. So, like, I know there's been a switch over from, ironically, I was mentioning Morez Jr., Masai Ujiri there now, but uh, ironically, but Jaden Bradley, watch for that name. He's gonna make a good career for himself, and especially have a nice summer league. I think kind of reminds me of Flip Murray for all my old school basketball junkies. Uh, in a sense, even though Murray was more of a combo score first guard. Now, this is the interesting one to me. Henry Visar. Visar is this guy who just does a little bit of everything above average. 75% finisher around the rim, 45% from three, right? Visar was offered to be one of the highest, if not one of the highest paid players to go back to North Carolina. As you all know, world champion head coach Mike Malone is now beginning his time at North Carolina. Visar elected to stay in the draft. He falls all the way to the second round. He had a late round, first round grade according to Jay Billis. Um, so I think he made the right decision, though. If there's a perfect guy he can study, and I don't think it's a mistake that he ends up there, he goes to the team that has a player that that reminds me very similar to him, and Jock Landale, who I'm very fond of from his time with the Olympic team in Australia. Guy who can score on all three levels, physical, knows where to be at, high IQ, plays with effort, knows where to be on the court on defense in particular. Above average leaper, good footwork, finishes, likes to be mix it up. These are the kind of guys you want to see. He's got a lot of good qualities, and I'm going to be quite frank with you. Being drafted, waiting a year, and let's just say he kills it next year at North Carolina with no Caleb Wilson. Guess what? He doesn't have the kind of game that you want to be subjected to the eyes of a lottery pick. People look at this guy's a lottery. I would rather be, because I think he can stick in the league for 10 years, have a really nice career. But if you have him going top 10 and trying to be this franchise day one starter, he's going to get that scrutiny, that lens of a lottery pick. And he doesn't have lottery pick type of game, that flashiness that you want to see from a guy who goes that high. You're going to be watching him from a different lens. This is the better route for him. Never mind that 3 mil. Never mind being top paid. Never mind him having the keys to the university. And I think this was what's best for him, especially now with the G and everything. He just needs to full time work on his bod, uh, play a lot of basketball. And while there's an opening because they moved off Goye in the Julius Randle Minnesota deal, um, they got a spot open for him. So that's big time. Um, with that being said, um, I'm just gonna leave it at that. I like them. I like those moves. Those are the guys that I think are gonna be notable. We're gonna, keep an eye out on them. This was a great second round, and it was a great night in general. The draft was an overall success. I think a lot of teams, uh, you know, were able to really fit. Um, were able to match need with talent, and I will say there's the guard class. I think there's a lot of raw guards, but I think the bigs are going to be the ones who come out of this draft years from now and have, solid, prosperous careers for the most part, starting from the first round all the way till now. But the second round, I think there was some gems that were worth mentioning, and I'm glad I was able to share that. I hope this video was informative, Utopians. I'll try to do better next time. Global out.